Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were not invited to a BAFTA event in Los Angeles on Saturday, which was reportedly an intentional snub.
What if a red carpet snub wasn't just about celebrity drama, but a royal message loud enough to shake the monarchy? In 2025, Prince Harry was reportedly banned from the BAFTA Awards, not by protocol or security, but by his own brother, Prince William. Why did this happen? What does it say about their fractured relationship and the future of the royal family itself? This isn't just another royal headline. It's a power move, a personal wound, and possibly the point of no return. Prince William, who has served as the president of BAFTA since 2010, is known for keeping a tight grip on how the institution aligns with the image of the monarchy. Those close to the matter say he felt Harry's presence at the event would create a media frenzy and distract from the actual focus of the evening, celebrating British television talent. For William, the choice to keep his brother out wasn't necessarily personal revenge, but a matter of protecting the event's dignity and steering attention back to its purpose. This story immediately picked up traction, not only because of the obvious royal connection, but because of the timing. It arrived at a moment when tensions between the two brothers were already a matter of public record. Prince Harry had made several media appearances over the past few years, including the release of his memoir Spare, in which he painted an unflattering picture of royal life and detailed painful family conflicts. He and Meghan Markle had also launched a documentary series on Netflix and sat down for a widely watched interview with Oprah Winfrey. Through these platforms, Harry shared deeply personal experiences, including grievances about his treatment by the press, his family's response to his mental health struggles, and issues surrounding the couple's security after stepping back from official royal duties. Given this backdrop, the BAFTA development added another layer to an already strained relationship. Sources close to Harry reportedly said he had reached out to BAFTA organizers with the hope of making a quiet, respectful appearance. He didn't seek to headline the evening or steal the spotlight. Rather, this was framed as an olive branch of sorts, a chance to reconnect with the public in a dignified setting. But what he received was a silent and decisive rejection. No official explanation, no public comment, just a firm no. This rejection came as a shock to some observers, especially those who believed Harry had been attempting to mend ties or at least present a less controversial version of himself. According to royal insiders quoted in several news outlets, William was involved in the decision, either directly or indirectly. The reasoning, they claimed, had more to do with optics than emotion. As the future king, William is becoming more protective of the monarchy's public image, and events like the BAFTAs are an important opportunity to reinforce that image in a positive light. With Harry's recent history of criticism and public disclosures, William allegedly felt that allowing him to attend would create too much noise and pull focus away from the nominees and the event itself. Public reaction to the story was predictably mixed. On social media, many took sides immediately. Some viewed William's decision as firm but fair, a reflection of his responsibility to maintain boundaries in an increasingly complex royal landscape. Others saw it as needlessly cold and dismissive, especially considering their shared history. After all, these were the same brothers who had once stood shoulder to shoulder at their mother's funeral. Their bond had been seen as one of the few constants in a royal family often surrounded by public scrutiny and internal tension. But even that narrative has shifted over time. Harry's own words have done much to change public perception of their relationship. In Spare, he describes years of feeling like the spare to William's heir, a second-tier royal whose role was to support but never outshine. He also claimed that his family, including William, failed to support him and Meghan as they faced intense criticism from the British press and the public. From Harry's perspective, these slights and omissions built up over the years and eventually led to a breaking point. Still, royal sources have consistently maintained that William sees things differently. Where Harry sees betrayal, William reportedly sees chaos, a brother who abandoned royal duties but still wants to benefit from royal access. There is a belief within palace circles that Harry's desire to return to public platforms like BAFTA comes with a risk. The risk that the attention he brings will overshadow the very institutions he left behind. The decision to exclude Harry from the BAFTAs also signaled something bigger. It wasn't just about one event. It hinted at a new phase in the royal rift, where actions speak louder than statements. A quiet red carpet ban carried the weight of a royal message. The divide is real, and it's not being papered over for public appearances. In interviews following the story, Harry did not directly address the BAFTA snub, but his previous comments give insight into how he may have felt. He has repeatedly questioned why he was treated differently from other members of the royal family, especially when it comes to matters like security and risk assessment. In past conversations, he expressed confusion and hurt over being excluded from the same processes and protections that were available to others. While these remarks were not linked specifically to BAFTA, they show a man who feels sidelined, and often unfairly so. Behind the scenes, those close to Harry suggested the rejection was more than just disappointing. It was painful. One source said he had seen the BAFTAs as a low-stakes, high-visibility moment to show the public a more composed and serious version of himself. Being turned away, especially in such a definitive way, reportedly left him feeling isolated and angry. Observers familiar with both brothers have pointed out that the BAFTA decision represents a turning point in how their relationship plays out in public. Where previous tensions had been confined mostly to books, interviews, and private disputes, this was a direct public moment where one brother actively shut out the other. It made the divide visible and impossible to ignore. For BAFTA, the incident posed a unique challenge. The organization has worked hard over the years to present itself as apolitical, focused solely on recognizing artistic talent. But when a royal president is at the helm, and his brother is a former working royal with global fame, neutrality becomes harder to maintain. According to anonymous sources who spoke with entertainment journalists, the organization ultimately deferred to William's preferences to avoid drama. Whether that was the right call is a matter of opinion, but from an institutional perspective, it aligned with keeping the focus on the awards themselves. Meanwhile, public discourse around the story continues to reflect broader divisions in how the royal family is viewed. Some feel that Harry has burned too many bridges and must now live with the consequences of his decisions. Others argue that punishing him indefinitely for speaking out only reinforces the very rigidity and lack of empathy he's criticized. There are also those who simply feel fatigued by the ongoing drama, seeing the BAFTA snub as just another episode in a story that's already stretched too long. Still, the significance of this particular moment shouldn't be underestimated. It shows how far the brothers have drifted apart. It also shows that Harry, despite stepping away from the crown, still seeks relevance and recognition in the spaces he once called home. Whether those doors remain closed or slowly reopen in the years ahead remains to be seen. In the years since Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped back from their royal duties, public opinion has been sharply divided. Many saw the couple's decision to leave as bold, even admirable. Others viewed it as a betrayal of tradition and duty. But regardless of where people stand, few can deny that the fallout has been emotional and, at times, painful to watch unfold. At the heart of that fallout is a breakdown in trust between the brothers, and the differences in how each of them has chosen to handle their evolving roles in the public eye. Prince Harry has made it clear that he feels he was treated unfairly within the institution of the monarchy. In numerous interviews and public statements, he's described feeling unsupported, both emotionally and practically. One of the recurring themes in Harry's public comments is the idea of unequal treatment. He has repeatedly said he wasn't given the same considerations or protections as other members of the royal family, including his brother. This is especially true in matters of media intrusion and personal security. In his view, the system didn't just fail him, it actively put him at risk. Much of this was outlined in his 2023 memoir, Spare, where Harry didn't hold back. He painted a picture of a family where hierarchy dictated affection, and where image was prioritized over individual well-being. He described William as someone who could be cold, dismissive, and even controlling. One of the most widely discussed parts of the book was Harry's claim of a physical altercation between the two, a moment that reportedly involved a heated argument, a shove, and a broken dog bowl. The image was stark, and for many, it marked a point of no return in their relationship. But William's perspective, while less publicly expressed, is said to be very different. Those close to the Prince of Wales have often portrayed him as someone trying to hold the institution together during a period of massive change. According to multiple royal correspondents and insiders, William feels that Harry has acted recklessly, lashing out not just at him, but at the crown itself. He reportedly sees Harry's interviews, public comments, and media projects as damaging, not only to the monarchy's image, but to the family's credibility and unity. The issue, as William allegedly sees it, isn't simply that Harry left royal duties behind. It's that he did so while continuing to speak out in ways that challenge the very structure he once represented. To William, this isn't about personal hurt alone, it's about a larger principle. If Harry continues to position himself as both a critic and a royal, it puts the entire institution in a precarious position. That's why, according to some insiders, William has drawn a clear line in the sand. The BAFTA decision may have been part of that, a moment where duty came before family. In that context, the personal becomes political. Every public gesture or absence now carries symbolic weight. William's choice to exclude Harry from an event like BAFTA wasn't just about one night. It was, according to those familiar with the palace's thinking, a message that appearances, especially high-profile ones, must be earned, not assumed. From William's perspective, it wasn't about petty revenge, but about setting boundaries in a new royal era where media perception matters more than ever. But for Harry, the rejection likely cut deep. Friends and allies of the Duke of Sussex have suggested that he saw the BAFTAs as an opportunity, not for publicity, but for quiet rehabilitation, a way to step back into the British spotlight without making waves. To him, this wasn't an attempt to regain a royal title or reclaim a role. It was about showing that he could still be a part of British public life in a respectful and meaningful way. Being told no, especially by his own brother, may have confirmed the very feelings of exclusion and judgment that pushed him away in the first place. Adding to the emotional weight of the situation are the many layers of unresolved history between the brothers. Harry has shared stories of feeling like the spare his entire life, a term that, while used jokingly in some royal circles, clearly left a lasting impact. He's described moments where he felt dismissed, mocked, and undervalued, not just by the press, but by those closest to him. In one story from his book, he recalled William complaining about his habits during a joint military appearance, calling him a slob and saying he snored too loudly. Harry saw it as a public humiliation. William, it seemed, saw it as harmless banter. These kinds of moments, while small on the surface, hint at a deeper dynamic, one where affection may have been real, but always filtered through protocol and power imbalance. William, the older brother and future king, has always carried a sense of duty that Harry never fully embraced. Where William sees stability and structure, Harry sees rigidity and repression. That contrast has only become more pronounced with time. Another major turning point in their story came with Meghan Markle's arrival. While the public initially welcomed the couple with excitement, tensions behind the scenes reportedly grew quickly. Harry has claimed that Meghan faced unfair scrutiny and racism in the British media, and that the royal family failed to protect her. He has also hinted that some of that scrutiny came from within the family itself, suggesting jealousy and resentment over the attention Meghan received. William, again according to sources, saw things differently. He reportedly believed Harry and Meghan were moving too fast, making choices that conflicted with royal expectations and traditions. The differing viewpoints only deepened the gap. In the years since, the situation hasn't improved. William has largely stayed silent, sticking to his royal duties and maintaining a tight circle of advisors. Harry, on the other hand, has continued speaking out, sometimes in ways that critics see as contradictory. He has said he wants reconciliation, but has also made bold, sometimes inflammatory claims about his family's intentions. He has suggested, for instance, that some members of the family were happy to see him stripped of security, leaving him and his family vulnerable. These comments have raised eyebrows, even among his supporters, and have further complicated the already fragile possibility of healing. The dynamic is made even more difficult by the lack of direct communication between the two. According to multiple sources, Harry and William have had minimal personal contact in recent years. Their conversations, when they happen, are described as tense and guarded. Attempts at peace talks have reportedly been short-lived or unsuccessful. And with each new public revelation or media moment, the chance of a quiet resolution seems to slip further away. There's also the broader royal machine to consider. Decisions like the BAFTA exclusion don't happen in a vacuum. Advisors, press officers, and institutional priorities all play a role. William, while clearly involved, is also representing a monarchy that is trying to modernize without losing control. Public image is now more curated than ever, and events like the BAFTAs serve as key moments in that strategy. The idea of bringing back a controversial figure, even one as high profile as Prince Harry, doesn't align with that approach. From a distance, the rift between William and Harry might seem like a family disagreement gone public. But the reality is more complex. This is a story about identity, loyalty, and the weight of tradition. Harry wants to tell his story on his own terms. William wants to preserve an institution that doesn't allow for that kind of narrative freedom. Both brothers are driven by conviction, but those convictions no longer align. While there was no official confirmation from BAFTA about why Harry was not included, multiple credible sources reported that the decision was influenced, if not directly made, by Prince William. As the organization's president, William holds considerable sway over its public image and strategy. And from what insiders suggest, allowing Harry to appear at such a high-profile event was seen as too much of a gamble. This decision aligns with a broader recalibration that has been happening slowly but noticeably over the past 2 years. At first, Harry and Meghan's departure from the royal family was seen as a dramatic but understandable move, an attempt to escape relentless media attention and carve out a new, more autonomous life. Their initial ventures were met with immense curiosity and, in many cases, optimism. Major platforms like Netflix and Spotify quickly signed deals with them, betting on the couple's global appeal and promise of meaningful content with a modern, socially conscious edge. For a while, the strategy seemed to work. The couple's Oprah interview in 2021 drew over 17 million viewers in the US alone and sparked conversations around race, mental health, and institutional loyalty. Their Netflix docuseries released in 2022 generated both buzz and backlash, but undeniably made an impact. Archetypes, Meghan's podcast with Spotify, won an award and topped charts at launch. The Sussexes were no longer just royals. They were media figures, activists, and entrepreneurs. But as time went on, the initial momentum began to slow. Viewers, listeners, and industry figures started asking tougher questions. What was the Sussex brand really offering? Were they media innovators, or simply using their royal background to stay relevant? Reports began to emerge that several of their proposed media projects were being quietly shelved or turned down by major streaming platforms. Netflix reportedly decided not to proceed with multiple Sussex-led ideas, citing creative differences and market uncertainty. Meanwhile, Spotify chose not to renew Meghan's podcast deal, with one executive famously calling the pair grifters, a comment that, though harsh, reflected a broader shift in sentiment within some corners of the industry. This cooling enthusiasm wasn't limited to corporate boardrooms. Public interest, too, appeared to be evolving. While many people still sympathize with Harry and Meghan's story, there's a growing segment of the public that feels increasingly fatigued. Constant headlines, repeated grievances, and the sense that the couple might be overexposing their narrative have led to a more cautious, sometimes skeptical reception. Even among supporters, there's been a call for the couple to pivot, to focus less on the past and more on building something new and forward-looking. In this context, the BAFTA rejection takes on greater significance. It reflects how influential organizations, even ones with personal connections to Harry, are now operating with a more risk-averse mindset. In previous years, Harry's attendance at such an event might have been welcomed as a bridge-building moment. But now, it's viewed as a potential disruption. BAFTA, as a prestigious and globally recognized institution, relies on an atmosphere of glamour, celebration, and professionalism. The last thing its organizers want is for the ceremony to be overshadowed by family drama or media frenzy. Whether justified or not, Harry has become a lightning rod for both. Adding to this is the perception within royal circles that Harry's public image is now fundamentally at odds with the monarchy's own. While the royal family remains committed to the principle of never complain, never explain, Harry has chosen a different path, one of open communication, media engagement, and public vulnerability. For some, this is refreshing and brave. For others, especially traditionalists, it's seen as inappropriate or even damaging. By positioning himself as both a critic of the institution and someone still connected to its legacy, Harry creates a tension that many within these establishments prefer to avoid altogether. William's involvement in the BAFTA decision, then, can be seen as both strategic and symbolic. As he steps into an increasingly visible role as future king, William is tasked with protecting the monarchy's reputation while also guiding its evolution. His actions in recent years, from shaping royal communications to focusing on mental health, climate change, and early childhood development, reflect a more modern approach. But they also show a desire for control, particularly over how royal stories are told and perceived. Allowing Harry to re-enter high-profile British public life, even just for a night, could threaten that control. It might open the door to more questions, more speculation, and more headlines focused on division rather than unity. For William, that risk may simply not be worth it. And in his position, personal feelings often have to take a back seat to broader strategic concerns. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle's role in the BAFTA episode, or rather her lack of one, is also telling. In contrast to previous controversies, where Meghan was either at the center or actively defending their position, this time she remained completely silent. No statements, no social media posts, and no leaks from friends or spokespersons. Insiders have suggested that this is deliberate. Meghan is said to be focusing her attention on her US-based ventures, including brand development and media opportunities unrelated to the royal family. According to sources familiar with her strategy, she sees little value in re-engaging with UK institutions or narratives that have historically been hostile toward her. Some royal watchers interpret Meghan's silence as a sign of distancing, not from Harry, but from the royal storyline altogether. After years of being at the forefront of the couple's public defense, she may now be choosing to step back, letting Harry navigate this chapter on his own. Whether this is part of a long-term strategic pivot or simply a moment of personal protection remains unclear, but the effect is noticeable. In this BAFTA moment, Harry stood alone. This public distance between Harry and Meghan, even if temporary, has sparked speculation about the unity of their brand. Much of their public appeal, especially in the early post-royal years, was based on the strength of their partnership. Two people who faced enormous pressure but stood together against it. But as each of them carves out their own path, observers are beginning to ask whether that joint narrative still holds the same weight. It's too early to draw firm conclusions, but in the world of public figures and media brands, perception often becomes reality. For BAFTA, and perhaps for the monarchy more broadly, the decision to exclude Harry may have been a quiet but firm message. This era of disruption has passed, and the institutions are moving forward with or without him. It also sends a signal to other organizations that the Sussex name, once a guaranteed headline and symbol of change, now comes with conditions and complications. In the broader context of British public life, this moment feels like a turning point, not just for Harry, but for how institutions engage with the legacy of royal departures. It shows that reputation, even one built over decades, can shift quickly in the eyes of powerful organizations. And it reminds us that in the world of modern monarchy, every appearance, absence, and decision carries more than symbolic weight. The BAFTA rejection, while dramatic on the surface, marks something far more enduring: the solidification of a turning point for Prince Harry, and possibly the final confirmation that his place within the royal structure is no longer open for renegotiation. After years of strained communication, public interviews, personal revelations, and high-profile projects, Harry now finds himself at a crossroads where symbolism and reality are fully aligned. The door back into the royal fold isn't just closed, it appears locked. This moment highlights more than a family disagreement. It suggests that the institutions once associated with Prince Harry have moved on. Whether that's the monarchy, the British press, or the entertainment industry that once saw the Sussexes as modern royalty with global appeal, the momentum has shifted. Invitations are fewer. Headlines are less favorable. Even Harry's attempts to frame recent developments, like the BAFTA snub, as a misunderstanding or a missed opportunity seem to carry less weight with the public. Privately, sources close to Harry say the emotional toll of rejection is growing heavier. What might have once been interpreted as a minor setback now feels more like a series of definitive no's, each one serving as a reminder that the world he was born into is no longer his. His interviews often carry the tone of someone still hoping for reconciliation, but the responses, or lack of them, suggest that hope may not be shared on the other side. At the same time, Harry has been clear that he remains committed to his new life in California. His focus on media projects, humanitarian work, and fatherhood has not changed. Meghan, too, appears to be forging ahead with her own goals, reportedly exploring new ventures in lifestyle branding, media, and public speaking. The couple continues to maintain a loyal following, particularly in the US, and their story still resonates with many who see them as examples of people choosing authenticity over obligation. But even as they build that new identity, the question of legacy hangs in the background. What will Harry be remembered for? His royal roots, or his decision to walk away from them? Can the Sussexes maintain long-term relevance outside of the institution they once challenged? These are the questions that the BAFTA incident helps bring into focus. Perhaps most telling of all is the silence from within the royal family itself. No official comment has been made regarding Harry's alleged exclusion from the event. William, Charles, and the wider institution remain committed to a strategy of quiet distance. That silence speaks volumes. It reinforces the image of a royal family that no longer sees reconciliation as a priority, and one that now views Harry not just as a relative, but as a former insider who chose a different path. Whether that path leads to redemption, reinvention, or continued isolation is still unfolding. But what's clear is this: the fallout from the BAFTA snub isn't just a personal blow. It's a signpost in a long and complicated journey, one that continues to reshape the public understanding of what it means to be royal in the modern age.